Hi, I'm wondering if we're going to be starting on time, do we think?
Good afternoon, Chair. Everyone is here and we're ready to go. So when you're ready to start at 4:30, that
Okay,
works for us.
perfect. Just a heads up, everybody, I'm not on my regular laptop. It's being scrubbed because it's been contaminated by some virus. So things might be a bit awkward for me in my manipulation of something that's unfamiliar with me, to me. So, okay, welcome to my basement. So it's 4:30 and I would like to start tonight's agenda. First, if we can have a call to order. I guess that's me. Next item is the disclosure of pecuniary interest. Has anybody got one? Any disclosures to reveal? Okay, thank you. Next item, approval of the agenda. The recommended motion is that the agenda be approved as presented. If we can have a mover and a seconder. Okay, okay, we got that. Everybody? Okay. Next, we'll go to approval of minutes. The recommended motion is that the minutes be approved of the last meeting, which was February 18th, 2026. There's no proposed adjustments or recommendations or anything, questions on those minutes as they went through. Okay. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Okay. Thank you. We're good. All right. So I guess we go right now to the report. And Drew, I wonder if you've got a presentation for us and if we can go from there.
I do, Chair. Just want to confirm that everyone can hear me. Excellent. Thank you so much. Just going to share my screen. And if I could get a thumbs up when everyone can see that. Perfect. Thank you so much. So the subject application tonight is minor variance application D13-GOR-26, and the subject property is 745 Old Union Hall Road. The purpose and effect of the minor variance application is to grant relief from the provisions of section 623 sub 1 sub B and 816 sub 3 sub D of the zoning bylaw to permit the construction of a new primary dwelling on the subject property, with the existing dwelling to be converted to an ARU. So specifically, the applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of 623 sub 1 sub B. Specifically, they are requesting a 200-meter setback from an MR zone, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum setback for any sensitive land uses to an MR zone of 300 meters. Additionally, they are requesting an ARU that is 86% of the gross floor area of a primary dwelling, whereas the zoning bylaw restricts it to 40%. Here we can see the subject property on the screen outlined in blue. It is approximately 21 hectares in size with frontage on Old Union Hall Road. It features an existing single detached dwelling with a number of accessory buildings. Surrounding land uses are similar rural residential uses. I will note that there are a number of livestock facilities within 750 meters of the subject property. The applicant has been made aware of this and they have done preliminary MDS calculations, and no known conflicts are present at this time regarding the proposed dwelling. The applicant is specifically proposing to construct a new dwelling while retaining the existing dwelling as an ARU. The gross floor area of the proposed dwelling is approximately 217 square meters, whereas the existing is 186 square meters. Under the zoning bylaw, the primary dwelling unit is considered whichever dwelling is larger of the two. In this case, given that the proposed dwelling is larger than what's existing, it would be considered as the primary dwelling. And under this definition, the ARU being the existing dwelling would be 86% of the gross floor area of the new primary dwelling. Should also be noted that the ARU and new primary dwelling are proposed to share the existing well in accordance with the zoning bylaw. I did want to talk about the zoning of the property because there is a lot going on. So the subject property is zoned RU, EP, and MR. So the environmental protection EP zone recognizes that there's a provincially significant wetland on the property. Our official plan tells us that whenever there's a proposed development within 120 meters of a PSW, that needs to be supported by environmental impact study, just demonstrating that there's not going to be any negative impacts on the PSW. In this case, the proposed dwelling is outside of the 120-meter catchment area, and as such, no EIS was requested as a part of this minor variance application. In addition, the MR zone recognizes known deposits of aggregate resources that are to be protected under the policies of the PPS. In discussing this with the county, they've indicated that they've just completed a new aggregate resources master plan. And this new master plan outlines that aggregate resources of primary, secondary, and tertiary significance are to be recognized and protected under the PPS policies. It also recognizes that to determine where the significant resources are, it's to rely on the aggregate resource inventory paper 189. Notably, both the land use schedule proposed by the county through the master plan, as well as the ARIP 189 paper, does not recognize a known source of aggregate resources on the subject property, being either primary, secondary, or tertiary. As such, there are no known resources to be protected, and staff are the opinion that this MR zone will be removed through a subsequent zoning bylaw amendment once the county adopts the new land use schedule through an official plan amendment. With that being said, in the meantime, staff have added the proposed variance of 200 meters from the MR zone out of an abundance of caution. Here we can see a larger site plan just showing that the proposed primary dwelling is within the existing residential node on the subject property. As with all minor variance applications, there are 4 tests that we need to evaluate. In this case, staff have done the evaluation of the opinion that the application meets all 4 tests. And accordingly, staff are recommending approval in accordance with the recommendation shown on the screen. I will note there was a minor error in the recommended motion presented on the agenda, whereas it says the permitted gross floor area is 85% of the primary dwelling unit. It is actually 86%. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody here that's who's representing the applicant who might want to speak to the matter?
Hi, Patricia. It's Jenna. We are representing the applicant, but I think Drew has covered everything that we've spoken about so far.
Thank you very much. So then I'll open it up for the committee for their questions. And if they have anything that maybe one or both of you can answer for us, that would be appreciated. So I'm going to open the floor to my committee members. Is there anybody on the committee who has a question or has clarification that they want or a concern that they would like to express?
I have clarification, just this question's for Drew, and it's about the aggregate. So did you say that the county is going to take away that little bit of aggregate? Not that it's worth mining or anything. Is that, when they do the new mapping, is that aggregate going to be gone?
Yeah, through the chair. So the county currently doesn't have an aggregate land use schedule implemented through its sustainable community official plan. It does leave the mapping to the lower tier. With that being said, it is going to start including a schedule in its scoop through an official plan amendment that they currently have in the works now. And that official plan amendment will essentially implement the mapping provided in the ARIP 189 paper that I referenced earlier. And through that land use schedule that they're proposing, there is no known aggregate resource denoted on it. So once the county does adopt that OPA, the municipality as the lower tier would, through its 5-year review, to be consistent with the scoop, adopt a similar land use schedule. And as such, the existing MR zone on the property would be removed.
Thank you, Drew. That's very explanatory. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, then we will move to our voting for our decision. Are all those in favor? I better put my lovely background back on. All in favor to approve this minor variance, if you could please raise your hands. Okay, okay,
Excuse me, Chair, could we get a mover and a seconder as
okay.
well? Thank you.
Please, thank you. Go ahead, Connie, you moved it and a seconder? Okay. Thank you for the correction, the gentle reminder, and our vote then, please. I think we were all in favor, so thank you very much for that. Yes. So then we will go forward with the recommendation, and that is that the Municipality of Mississippi Mills Committee of Adjustment approve the minor variance application affecting the subject lands, which are legally described as Concession 4, East part of Lot 17, Ramsey Ward, Municipality of Mississippi Mills, municipally known as 745 Old Union Hall Road, in order to permit the development of a new primary dwelling on the subject property with the existing detached dwelling to be converted to an additional residential unit, subject to the following conditions. Condition number 1, that it is approved, sub-bullet 1, to permit a new primary dwelling with 200 meters of an aggregate resource pit zone, whereas section 6.23 subsection 1 subsection B of a zoning bylaw 11-83 requires new building construction consisting of a sensitive land use to be no closer than 300 meters to a pit MR zone. Sub-bullet 2, to permit an additional residential unit that is 86% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling unit, whereas section 8.16 subsection 3 subsection D of zoning bylaw 11-83 requires an additional residential unit to be no more than 40% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling unit. And condition number 2, that the owners obtain all required building permits and approval within 2 years of the decision coming into full force and effect. So all is good with that. Thank you. And I believe, is that the last item on the agenda then?
It is, yes.
So before we close for the day, I do want to thank staff for thinking outside the box in the approach to this, in recognizing that the easiest way to do this was likely to make the existing primary dwelling unit the accessory residential unit. I think that is very clear and an effective way of approaching a unique situation, and I thank you for that. I really enjoy creativity and being, thinking ways through problems and ways to solve them that work well for everyone. So thank you very much for that. So there's nothing on the agenda about the next meeting. Do we know yet if there is going to be another meeting of course there's going to be another one, but one in the month of April?
Yes, our next meeting is scheduled for April 15th at 4:30.
Okay, thank you. Well, with that, for those who celebrate, I wish you all a happy Easter and a lovely start to your spring. And if we can have a mover and a seconder to close out the meeting, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Manili. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next month. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Short, sweet.